Are you lying awake wondering, what am I going to do when I retire? And you know what? That's a normal fear that many people get. But fear, many times, is a sign that you're about to go through a major transformation.
I mean, if you think about it, you have gone through your whole life building your career, building your network, building your identity, and the day comes and that all kind of fades away. It is a scary time for everybody. So if you're afraid, you're with us.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most unspoken about, the one most untaught, and the most misunderstood transition in your life.
But it's not a feeling that you don't understand, because if you think back through your life, when you were 18 years old trying to make the college decision, you were scared, you were jumping into the unknown, but you did it. And it felt like a positive transition.
Well, what I was going to say is that there's a lot of training and coaching and understanding of these other life transitions, buying your first house, having your first child, getting married, all of that. There's a lot out there. There is not a lot being taught about retirement. And I remember the day that I retired, and it was Friday, December 29th, something like that, whatever the date is.
2018.
2018. And that following Saturday, woke up, it's weekend, we kind of hung out. Monday was the big learning experience for me, the big moment when I woke up and I realized I didn't have my typical morning routine where I get up early, have coffee, get to the office by 7. I got up, had coffee by myself. You got up a little bit later. We had coffee together. And I'm like, what are we going to do?
Right. What's
and
next?
I think the biggest thing for me, and it wasn't a fear at the time, but it was reality once I retired, was my work family was finished. It was almost like getting divorced from everyone at work because there was no reason to connect anymore. We connected at work. You always said this, that your work friends are situational. They're your friends because you're working with them.
Right.
Right?
Right. You know, it was different for me because you retired at traditional retirement age.
Right.
Right. So it was kind of like people in your company expected you to retire. You were at the age where our family was like talking about perhaps you're going to retire. You know, I retired early. I retired at 53 years old after having worked for, 33 years for the same company. So it was a little bit different and unsettling for me. So depending on the age that you're opting out, if it's you that are opting out, you will have different emotions. I remember I felt a little bit like there was work left to do. Like I had work left in me that was left to do, because you have to remember, for 33 years, that's all I knew was the work. And that's the friends that I had was with the work. And, that was the community I built was with the work. Even my philanthropic endeavors were with the work. So it was one of those big transitions for me that just felt like a hatchet came down. And I was still young enough to recognize I still had work left in me, but what did I want to do?
Yeah, I think the big thing here is there is a lot of fear around it, and there's a lot of misunderstanding, and everyone handles it differently. So in a minute, we're going to give you 5 reasons why it's okay to retire right now and make the plunge. The problem that, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, so let's categorize kind of the problems,
okay,
right? So there's like 3 main problems that you might start to feel, right?
While you're laying awake at night wondering, what am I going to do?
Right. The first one is, in your mind, and this is where I got a little trapped, was, your retirement meant you were irrelevant. So not your job was irrelevant, not your family. It was that you as a human were suddenly irrelevant. And it took a while for me to disassociate my job title, my job work, the teams I led with the human that I am.
Right.
And I'd never done that in like 33 years. It was, especially here in America, people say, oh, hi, what do you do for a living? And It was hard to disassociate. So I would say it took me a good, I'm going to say 6 months to disassociate from that identity, because it took me a while to realize my value wasn't tied to my title or paycheck.
Yeah. The good news for you, if you have this fear and you're feeling that you will become irrelevant, it probably does happen a little bit, because the second reason that people really struggle with this is that you don't prepare enough for the emotional transition that takes place. And, you know, I look back now on my 38-year career, and I truly believe, because of the path that we're on, that was really 38 years of getting me ready for now. My entire identity has changed, and yours can too, but preparing for this emotional transition in life is difficult, and a lot of people fail at it. My dad failed at it. I know people that have left their career and the next day they die. You hear these stories all the time. It's so sad. So preparing for this huge emotional transition is really important. And again, we're going to give you 5 reasons why it's okay to retire now. But the third trap that people get caught up in is